Hi, my name is Alexander Fenn. I'd like to welcome you all here tonight for my chat on basically me conquering my learning disability while craniosacral therapy has helped me also along the way, and you'll hear my journey. But first of all, I'd like to say for you guys just to settle here, relax. It must have been a journey for you to come, and basically being conceived and born is a big journey too, and the environment has to be right and comfortable for things to happen. And I just like to say, basically you guys were all born, you're all here, and if you can take consideration and appreciation of life and how special that is, and how you guys managed to do that. And just give yourselves like a big warm gratitude, like a hug, because you've managed to make it this far and you're still going, basically. Thanks very much. So preparing for tonight, I spent many hours on my journey. In many words, it has been a struggle. I'll try to explain my journey, what's that word again? Coherently. But a dyslexic mind doesn't operate like that in an organized way, and certainly not chronologically. It jumps around a lot, and I apologize in advance if you have a hard time following. Also, I was just going to say, if it's possible for you guys to hold your questions towards the end. And I actually bought, because Lauren and I, when we were studying, we took notes on the Post-its, and we would either write things or I'd post it in my books just to kind of keep track. But I was going to say, if you guys have any questions while I'm talking, if you want to write it on the Post-it notes, and then you can then ask me towards the end, basically. Well, I have should be enough pens in the pad there. Yeah. I think that was after we moved to the States. I think that had been 1 year, so I was 1 year old in that photo. And you can see my brother Mark, who's there. My sister Jane and Lucy can't join us tonight because they're in America. But yeah, I've always felt alone. I've always felt very different from everyone else. I'm sorry. I've had loads of support from loved ones and family. But sometimes it's been really debilitating. And it's been a real struggle, like through school, with friends. And like, yeah, just trying to like kind of organize things. Yeah, I can remember like being younger and I guess not kind of talking or like struggling with this. And yeah, I guess I was getting frustrated with things. For an example, it's like, have you been out in the freezing cold and you don't have any gloves on your hands, and you're trying to work. And as you're going, it's a real big struggle. It's like you can't work it out. And from a day-to-day kind of life basis, it's kind of been like this for me. It's like my output doesn't connect with my thoughts, and what I'm trying to produce doesn't reflect what I know. The realization should be, actually, this is from my dad, if you guys. Yeah, realization. My mom explains my youngest years by saying, from birth, Alex wouldn't eat or sleep. It was very difficult times. It was hard to get him to eat anything as I got older. In fact, I was considered malnourished. And then if I was like forced to eat, or like they were trying to convince me to eat, I'd say I was sick, or I'd vomit at will, or, you know, not want to take things in. She also said I was very competitive. And if I was taken anywhere, I'd kick up a fuss, I guess, because it was so much of a change for me. Like, kind of, that was a struggle, going to friends, stores, parties. And I began walking late. Most of the kids in the family started walking a bit earlier. I began walking, I believe, as 18 months old, as Mom said. And then it was kind of funny, Mom said, like, I don't remember this, but Mom said at night I would wake up and get out of bed and move around the house and flush things down the toilet. Once my mom even found me with my head in the toilet. I guess I was really interested in the plumbing. But yeah, and one time Mom said she once reported waking up when I was standing in their bedroom, just looking, you know. I don't remember doing that, but yeah, like, also, yeah, I wasn't really talking, like, and that's, I think, why Mom started kind of really looking what was going on. So Mom took, basically, Mom, like, yes, knew something was up, and especially was different from the 3 other siblings, and she would take me to pediatricians, but they wouldn't agree with her that there was something going on. Just before 4, with some findings from psychological testings, I was diagnosed with a language disorder. So that's that one, basically. From here, I started speech and language therapy. Almost 3 years old, I started to make small sentences. I remember going to Debbie Gore and being in her office, and I remember playing with the toys and I guess doing some speech and learning stuff. And I remember that I could take a toy home and bring it back. If I was like attending preschool and developing programs for children with language delays. Yeah, you can see beginning to walk there, and Mom and Dad. One of my earliest memories is age 4, probably. Wasn't speaking or going to the toilet. This is like really young. I remember going to a doctor, and I remember them testing me. I can remember my ears being tested, and I guess they were trying to figure out how things were happening with me. Yeah, and I just remember, I guess, not enjoying it, but and I guess they were worried because I wasn't eating and going to the toilet. But also I remember sitting in there, and I remember at the wall there was a picture of a muscular and skeletal system, and I was really intrigued by this, and that memory still kind of followed with me through to this day, and it's probably one of the reasons that led me into what I'm doing now, because I was so fascinated by that. I remember sitting down for my first dyslexia test. I remember it was taken, I think, during school hours. I found the exam confusing, and I remember just getting really fatigued by it, and still to this day, if I do them, they're actually really fatiguing and quite stressful. Years later, I remember they doing ink block tests, and I remember them asking what I see, and I always thought like butterfly, and then I thought, didn't they use those for mental illness, or to see how social a person was. And I said I'd see a butterfly or a bird. Rarely would I say I saw two people or faces. And I just remember this all be very exhausting. Slide 4, yeah. As a young kid, I wanted to do things my way, but it seemed everyone was trying to help my world out and kind of do things for me. As the doctor said, my world was a very confusing world and this would be very helpful. I remember one time I was being taught how to swim and I just couldn't figure out how to do doggy paddle, and I remember mom and dad trying to teach me. I was messing around with this diver on a stick, and I'd been spinning around and I kind of plopped into the pool. And my sister said she would get it. And I said, no, I'd get it. And I was getting angry and I plopped into the pool because I was so dizzy. I remember mom screaming doggy paddle and I couldn't work it out. And I remember kind of panicking and beginning to like sink, and my mom and my sister dove in to save me. And I remember, I think it was all very traumatic for most of us. Because everything was organized, my clothes were organized for me. I think I don't know if I might have probably dressed myself at the age of 7, maybe a bit older, but my clothes were chosen. There wasn't, because I think with the doctors, they always said that if his kind of world was organized in a way, it'd be best for him. And I guess out of love, everyone was doing this in the family. Public school recognized I was speech and language impaired. I was enrolled in a special education. I remember the classes being smaller. I remember arts and crafts, the beginning of kind of reading, avoiding talking to other kids, struggling because I couldn't find words to make sense. Actually, my mom used to cut my hair. So as you can see, I remember her cutting my hair when I was younger because I didn't like going to the hairdressers. I was always a little funny about it. Also, I remember once my mom went for a run and I wanted to follow her, and I think my sister Lucy was there, and I couldn't run and I was tripping myself up. Because also I know with learning disabilities, they have trouble with coordination, running, and because of this, I was also put into motor training skills to help kind of deliver my coordination, make me a bit stronger. But I remember trying to run with my mom, falling down. The same thing with a bike. I remember trying to ride a bike and they couldn't take the training wheels off. I remember everything had a target. The garage door, hedges, just falling off the bike. I have scars to remember it by. I went to a day school called Eagle Hill School in Lloyd Harbor. Transferred there, I was in public and then transferred there. I began to realize a lot more around this age, engaging with the kids, different things happening. Also, I remember, I think on Sundays, Mom would sit there and try to encourage me to read. I remember trying to struggle with 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish. I remember struggling with lots of books. The one that I liked a lot was Green Eggs and Ham, Sam I Am. I actually really didn't mind that one. Finally, I kind of began to get the hang of reading. It's better for me now, but still is a struggle. I remember as kids trying to play board games, and that was a struggle. I guess, heavy with words, using your memory, all that's kind of a struggle for me still. I remember wanting to play Monopoly with the family, and sometimes my parents or the other siblings would join up to help me, which was really nice of them. I guess I struggle with, school quizzes was a struggle, but it was easier, and pub quizzes are hard, but sometimes now I find that if I'm doing them, I can answer some of the hardest questions, and people are surprised. Once I answered a question, where does the flag fly? where it's perfectly straight and will never have a crease in it. And I was like, that's the moon. And I think people were like really impressed that I knew that. Yeah, I can remember sitting there, them trying to teach me cursive writing, and I remember it was such a struggle and still is. Like, if people write in cursive, I can't read it. It's kind of just, you know, it looks like sloppy, like, writing. But yeah, when I was younger, I'd come home with massive headaches. I remember them pounding in the front of my head. The work levels were increasing, so did my headaches. Yeah, I would come home from wanting to let off steam. I can remember in school they were talking about Native American Indians, and Mom had picked me up, and I was very hyperactive, and I can remember there was a divider in the house, and Mom was on the phone, and I went in and I started running around this room screaming, doing like a Native American chant, and Mom was on the phone. I don't think she found it funny. She came in and was like, settle down. But yeah, I just remember that being really amusing. Yeah, I can remember, like, from the picture, like, people saying I was the cutest kid. My sister's friends always kind of wanted to pick me up, and I was tiny. I remember the bigger kids picking me up. This is funny because this is Halloween, and Mom said one year, what do you want to be for Halloween? And I said I wanted to be a flasher. So Mom made this whole outfit, which is quite funny. The actual shirt had chest hair and all that, and then Mom said, why don't we put some boxers on you that say boo? But yeah, I'm kind of creative with my outfits even now to this day when I dress up if I go to things. But yeah, I just remember trying to socialize and trying to speak clearly. I was hesitant to speak to people. I remember being shy, and I went to children's parties and didn't want to leave my mom's side. I actually remember kind of clinging onto Mom's side, and Mom was trying to sit there and kind of nestle me into getting into like the group of people, and I just was really scared. And I remember I went up to one kid and I tapped him, and he turned around and he punched me. And like kind of after that, it really shocked me with people. And my mom was kind of like explaining that maybe you shouldn't just go around tapping people, just trying to help me. Yeah, I can remember still with the writing, it was this big struggle, killer headaches. I get really fatigued. It was so much for me, and I didn't want to be there. And I think also just because I was getting picked on by some of the kids that were at the school. And I don't think it was school itself. I think it was the people in school that made me not want to be there so much. But I kept going, you know. But like there was one time a bus bully. There was a few bus bullies. But yeah, I had one bus bully, and he managed to bribe the bus driver to stop to get cigarettes. And he bribed all the kids, and he bribed me with gum, and I think something happened. I got upset and came home and told Mom that the bully was bullying me, but he was convinced the bus driver to stop. And then from then on, the bully just came on the bus and started like picking on me more, which made me kind of regress and kind of like not want to speak with people, which I think also had a bit of an effect on my learning. And also I didn't really speak to people and tell them what was going on because I couldn't find the words. So I think sometimes people weren't aware. And that's where I started pretending to be sick or make myself sick. So I would get sent home from school so I didn't have to go to school. But yeah, and it was difficult with my brothers and sisters. So much was done for me out of love and care. They would help me because they were told it was that I was incapable of doing a lot of things. In the long run, that had terms and effects and created belief systems in theirs. And also, I was not sure and doubtful. This caused issues because I get annoyed with me asking for, like, people get annoyed like now because like sometimes I'm doubtful with things of like kind of I'm not sure, and then I want their approval, or like with also my working memory, it's not great, it's really low, so like sometimes like people explain things and I don't get it, and I ask them again and they're like, I just told you that, you know, and they kind of look at me funny. I know I look very normal, and most people in the street that would meet me would think he's a regular person, there's nothing really going on here. And so when I ask things like that, they kind of get, you know, tricky. But yeah, the there's a, yeah, also like the like, yeah, I know I used to, it's like funny, I used to talk a lot as a kid, and so mom got me this, and I still have it to this day, Mr. Chatterbox, and mom said I always spoke, but I feel that I talked a lot, but I said little, like, so I was not saying the words that I said weren't a true expression of how I was feeling, because I was having a hard time kind of getting that across, or finding the words, maybe with my learning disability. Now I want to have conversations, but I do find it overwhelming, I guess, from my experiences and learning disability. But I'm finding expressing myself isn't easy, but it's getting easier, and I'm becoming more like kind of confident with things. Yeah, and I shifted after my my day school that was private. I went to a boarding school, and before that, my world was made for me. I was like protected, sheltered, and so my family, I think, were just worried with things, so they didn't expose me to a lot of things. So, and it was done all out of love. And then when I went into boarding school, that's where I began to really struggle. I knew I was like very different. I sounded different because I'd stutter a lot. One of my friends said I'd pause a lot, wasn't clear and direct. He said now, because he knows me now, he says I've come a long way. He says like I speak more confidently, which is really nice. And he said he was like quite proud of me from what I've been doing. But yeah, this is in boarding school. I can remember that picture. So basically I'd study hall, and I was working in study hall, and I was really struggling with work. And what happened is I got switched into a harder English class, but I didn't have the words to tell someone that I was in a harder English class, so I just took it. And we were reading Last of the Mohicans, and for me at that age, that was a really hard book. It was interesting, but I was struggling a lot, and I think I was either trying to do some coursework from that. And I remember sitting in the study hall, and after study hall we could watch TV and then go to bed. But I've been sit there for like an hour and a half, just really struggling to do the work, and the teacher realized, and he said, okay, that's it, you can kind of relax. But yeah, but sometimes it was like that, like I'd be stuck there. Mom would try to help, or tutors, when I'd either come home or at school, which was really nice of them. But I'd push through it and do it. I was so used to failing and not passing. Now every time I pass something, I'm not over excited about it. I'm more upset about failing, just because I'm so used to failing things. I've taken exams sometimes 3 or 4 times over, but I've always kept persisting. And that's one of the things I don't kind of get, is sometimes some of these exams that I've been asked to do, because Jen and I did one, and I failed my first anatomy physiology exam, and they said I could only take it one more time, and they wouldn't let me do it again. So, yeah, it was kind of, yeah, like that whole passing thing, like, I don't know why I don't get excited about it. It's just the failing thing really gets me. And I just noticed kids would learn quicker. I'd compare myself to them. Are people with learning disabilities more tougher on themselves? I feel this way. Studying with mom and dad, like mom and dad found that like because I was quite hyper and running around, mom and dad found that like osteos, chiropractors, or massages, I think they read it somewhere, were like good to kind of calm down and help. And I can remember doing this, and I think it helped. I remember going quite a bit in Long Island to Dr. Bob, and he was helpful, and that's where I kind of got this interest a bit more into the human body and how the human body works, what things can help benefit. But yeah, I think because I was afraid of my and doubtful of my abilities, I got bullied quite badly, and was hesitant of people in like big groups. It was It was verbal and physical, and the effects were more like withdrawing and not wanting to be with people, which isn't good. It's funny, yeah, in this picture you can see like the difference, because I wasn't eating. It's funny, this is one of my close friends. I still kind of know him now, but you can see he was a lot bigger. But I sent him this picture the other day, and he went, wow, my God, when he saw that. But yeah, no, it was quite funny. But yeah, but from, kind of like getting bullied, it made me lose my appetite and kind of not want to socialize with people. In school, like in high school, like there was, that's when the kind of bullying got a lot worse. I had like bones broken, and once I had pepper spray sprayed in my face, because they thought it was funny, and then they thought it was even funnier to say water would help. But yeah, then I just began to stop participating with people in school, and I thought I'd just concentrate on my studying, and started doing that and doing art classes. I then started going back and speaking to people kind of like my junior year, and started enjoying my junior year of high school a little bit more. But through all the kind of doing the extra classes and basically kind of working harder, I made honor roll, which was pretty amazing. And because like I guess a lot of kids in special ed sometimes didn't make honor roll because they were struggling with their grades. But through high school, I got mischievous. There's a picture of my brother and I, and then just Dad and I were on a trip with a good family friends, and I like to mess around and kind of do funny things like that. But I was mischievous. I'd act out, I guess, because I was being picked on and didn't know how to kind of explain or express. And I remember Mom and Dad were away on a trip, and my older sister was supposed to kind of be there supervising, but she wasn't. And I became fascinated with fire. And I lit a fire, and I accidentally got the side of the house on fire. The house was okay. I got in trouble. And then I remember lighting a bonfire and getting fire engines to the house. Mom wasn't there, neither was Dad, but like then after that it was quite amazing, because I think Mom realized that she needed a bit more support, and we got my Aunt Pauline from England to come. And my Aunt Pauline, who came over, I got to spend a bit more time with her. There she is. And I got to know her, and she was a really great help kind of finishing those years of high school. As a younger year, pet peeves. I didn't like the cold winter time in America. It was quite Yeah, unique traits. That's one right there, bathroom. Everyone knows me, knows that I need the bathroom a lot. I was gonna say that also I bought this book, and this book has little writings of kind of when I was in school, and you can read, I think I learned why I want the bathroom so much. About 3 times in this book, I peed my pants, and I think maybe because I did that, yeah, why I go to the bathroom. But Mom was always like, you're just checking to see if it's there and stuff. Well, I found that picture and I just thought that'd be a funny one to put up. But yeah, I didn't like it when my clothes were pinching in the wintertime and cold. Mom was really lovely, and she would put my clothes by the heater. She didn't need to, but she just did this, and it kind of became a routine every morning. At boarding school, I remember being cold and I would just change underneath the blankets. But yeah, but still I find stuff frustrating with like my learning. I think it was very frustrating when I was younger because I remember acting out a lot, or like kind of because I couldn't find the words and expressing. Like I can remember also being younger, and Mom would do this. I got obsessed with Pac-Man for some reason. And when I was going to lower school, Mom would make me Pac-Man sandwiches and have a raisin and cut the bagel out like a Pac-Man. I even had Pac-Man bed sheets. Yeah, I remember going to camps also when I was younger and not like wanting to go with the group or socialize. I'd always kind of want to go off and explore and kind of find my own thing. I found the Matchbox car that I really liked, and I had that Matchbox car for many, many years. I kept it, I thought it was amazing, and kind of got rid of it. But yeah, but after graduation from high school, or like from after, yeah, I went into London. I had like for interviews, I was always constantly yawning, and Mom and Dad were always like, you know, why are you yawning? People will think that you're not motivated, or people think you're not interested. And I think it was just because I was stressed. And one thing I found from the yawning is it's stopped now. And I think that might be to do with the cranial that I started doing. It kind of changed things for me. But yeah, I applied for this school. I went to Mount View, and I didn't get in because I think maybe lack of experience and yawning. I was really, really upset by it. And then I started perfecting more of my art, and that's when I decided to go to London College of Fashion and to do special effects makeup. I had an ex-girlfriend who was really helpful because I struggled with all the schoolwork, and she helped me write my essays for me, which was really, really lovely. And my mom was helping me through the work, and Mom didn't have to do that, and it was really great of my mom to do that. Also, over the years, I've done many interesting jobs. One of my first jobs that I got here was through one of our family friends, and it was cleaning antique furniture just down in Latterburn Road. And it was furniture being shipped in from China. And it was quite fun. We just sat in the warehouse, learned about the antique furniture, was polishing it. And I did that for a long time until that job got bigger, and then they moved somewhere else, and I just couldn't do it. But I found some jobs frustrating because it just didn't fit with me. You know, it wasn't kind of what I wanted to do. And I kind of still was thinking about what I should do, and I was working with my dad for a bit and doing fashion, and that was kind of interesting. I had trouble with color matching, so I had to color match, and that comes into my dyslexia. Color matching is a problem, and I had to color match things, and that was kind of tricky. But when I finished that, I went in 2008 on a 13 travel journey. So I traveled for 13 months, like Asia and into Australia and New Zealand, which was quite an amazing trip. It's funny, my dad thought I'd be back in 2 weeks. One of my friends thought I'd be back within a week, but to their surprise, with my learning disability and everything, I managed to travel. I remember once filling out an immigration form wrong, and I got sent back through immigration, and then I filled it out again wrong, and then that's what I find, like doing stuff like that is quite tricky. But like, yeah, and then when I came back from that, I kind of started thinking about what I wanted to do. And still that image of the skeletal and muscular system kind of came, into play. And I always was interested in massage. So I did like an introduction weekend of massage therapy. And kind of like that's where I got kind of hooked, and I said, I kind of want to do this. I remember Dad saying, like, you can do this, but it's up to you to do this. And then today, challenges for me, color matching spots, like, kind of if I look at colors, I even have trouble now kind of matching clothes and outfits to wear. It gets a little, and then if there's too much going on in social situations, social cues, because I guess from maybe the bullying and stuff, it's kind of a bit overwhelming. Texting and emailing my girlfriend, she knows this because sometimes she's saying, what are you saying to me? But emailing and trying to do business stuff is really tricky for me. I've tried different things to help. It's getting there slowly. Calling is much easier. I'm much better on the phone and speaking to the people, and I try to do that as much as I can, even though I am a little shy sometimes. Today that helps me. I currently have one-on-one tutorings with Lauren, and she helps me kind of organize stuff for my work, or like if I'm studying stuff for my studying. She helped me tonight prepare for this talk, which was really nice of her. I find it words and self-expression and talking, especially in emotional talks, really hard for me because I can't find certain words to express. And also, like, each week I have craniosacral sessions, or I try to. It depends. It's slowed up a lot more now since I've not been on my course, but I've been finding that when I have these cranial sessions, they actually help really calm my nervous system and kind of help me think and produce my words a lot clearer. And it's stopped my yawning, so I actually don't yawn now, which is quite interesting. So whenever I'm in a stressful situation or kind of talking with people or having an interview, I won't yawn, which is pretty good. And I put that down to the cranial. Also, I see a psychotherapist, and I know sometimes some people are funny. This was all recommended on my course because I was going in the cranial. It was a 3-year course and it was quite intensive. When I was going through that, they recommend the psychotherapy, and I know some people are sometimes funny about going to see a therapist, but I think I would recommend it. It helps a lot, and they can help you understand certain things and help you kind of stop certain patterning or traits. The things that have helped support me, people who don't judge and are patient and have taken time to understand and help me. But sometimes you don't find people like that. They sometimes just look at you and think you're regular, Over the years I've had patient girlfriends who've been willing to help and support me, which has kind of been nice. This is funny, I was trying to find a picture of my godfather, and this is an old picture. And I remember that day, and they were trying to teach me to row in freezing cold English water, and I couldn't row. And that was the first time ever, and then I rowed about years later and just picked it up. But and you can see I got a bad haircut. Mom didn't do that one. I think that was the hairdresser. Extra tutoring really helps me, and feel more organized in my life and sorting things out. I basically, my path to cranial was my massage diploma that I got. Really interested in the human body. That was kind of my path to the craniosacral. And like I said, the image of the doctor, like, you know, the doctors with the muscular and skeletal system. Yeah, and then working with other jobs, I'd never truly felt satisfied in what I was doing, and I had shoulder surgery. And after I came out of the shoulder surgery, that's where I clearly was like, I want to work with the human body. That's kind of what did it for me. And then I found my way into craniosacral therapy. I did there was a talk, and I found it really interesting. And then I then went for an introduction weekend, and when I came out from the introduction weekend of craniosacral, I just felt really uplifted, lightened from what I learned in the hands-on. From the diploma, explaining craniosacral therapy, it's a gentle touch which aims to help restore the human body to a natural state of health, and it helps from like stress, trauma, if you're having trouble sleeping, eating, digestion. You can hold anywhere in the body, feet, kind of shoulders, back, sacrum. So I have a few people also here in this room that's had cranial that like said it's really helped them. And it also just helps with the human condition. Lauren, should we try to see if we can? I can actually show you. There's a video I'm going to show you which is going to explain.
Challenges of everyday life. We can all suffer from stress, trauma and illness. We might trip up on our way to work, have an argument with our boss. We might suffer from a chronic health condition, or we might receive some worrying news. All these factors can build up over time and contribute to us feeling unwell, exhausted and run down.
Can I just get you to arch your back slightly?
How we deal with what life throws at us is different for each person. We may be triggered into fight or flight mode more often than we think, causing our systems to contract. Parts of our bodies tighten as we adopt defensive postures. Our breathing gets quicker and more shallow. Our digestive systems shut down, and we struggle to think clearly when we're in this survival mode. Craniosacral therapy can help shift us out of this state into a more relaxed mode of being, allowing our bodies to function optimally.
And how does that feel? I can feel tingling all down my back and all down my stomach. It's very relaxing. Great.
Craniosacral therapy was developed by osteopath William Garner-Sutherland, who discovered the presence of ties in the body that he believed were connected to the cerebrospinal fluid that bathes the nervous system. Practitioners feel for these ties in order to enhance health. So what happens in a session?
How have you been? How's your back been?
I've been a bit achy.
After a case history is taken, the therapist will usually treat you on a couch, fully clothed. Gentle handholds are carried out on the body, and sensations such as heat, tingling, or gentle movements may be felt as the body responds to the therapist's touch.
Excellent.
During the session, if the hands, maybe on my head or here, and then suddenly I feel my legs just totally relax.
The therapist may pick up tension, restrictions or distortions in the client's system, all of which may be indicative of ill health. These restrictions are gently released, allowing the body to find its way back to wholeness, fluidity and balance.
What I feel from the practitioners with craniosacral treatment is a great sense of empathy with my body. I feel myself release tension and then melt into the hands of my practitioner.
People receiving craniosacral therapy have reported improvements in emotional, physical, mental and spiritual well-being.
Afterwards I just feel totally energized, and it's wonderful. I found it quite magical, really. I love it.
I can feel all of me again, instead of just separate parts.
Here's how to try craniosacral therapy for yourself.
So yeah, that's kind of explaining a bit more about cranial, but like, I found from it, like it's like, have you ever seen a screaming child? And when the parents go up and pick up the child, and as soon as they hold the child begins to calm and settle down. And that's what I find happens with cranial, with the work that I do. It basically begins to really calm people down and helps them feel a bit more comfortable. It's not one of these things that will cure you in one session, but the more you have a few more sessions, you'll slowly begin to see the positive feedback. Like I found that it did help me a lot. I think I became more kind of confident with the studying I was doing because it was so intensive, not just the heavy workload and the reading workload, but actually emotional stuff. Because like with cranial, some emotional stuff does come out. But yeah, but I find that I think, definitely changed my life. One of the people here, Zach, has had sessions, and you've found
massively changed my life. For a long period, I didn't realise there were so many things that I didn't realise that were wrong with me. A lot of things that I was quite clearly struggling with, that just eased off and made the world feel like it came together. And it's just continued to get better and better because of it. To anyone, whether you've got a small twitch in your toe or an ache in your brain or you're having some real struggles, I highly recommend it. Highly.
This is all so if you look at this is all my testing from my psychiatric ed that they do for special education. But you can see that my working memory is in the 1 percentile, holding on to multiplying information. This means that 99% of the population have a stronger working memory than I do. So that's like a huge struggle. And I do find that quite difficult sometimes, like kind of explaining or kind of getting myself across, and some people kind of don't get that, and then my processing speed is 10 percentile. In the way I understand, this is, there is tons of information coming in at me, and I can't make sense of it quickly enough. So it's like hard to kind of adjust or kind of understand things. And then average verbal intelligence, my computer work is fine. it's like there's a printer problem. So like I'm trying to get stuff out and it's not relaying to my printer. So it's like not trying to kind of, same with my writing, like say if I know exactly what I want to write down and say, and it's all in the head and I'm going da 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 da, and then there'll be tons of things left out, and then I'll sometimes try to go back and read, and then I'm like, I thought that I put that in there, and it's kind of annoying sometimes. I think also annoying for the people who are receiving the messages or emails. Yeah, executing function, weakness, organization skills, thinking, was that word? Sequential thinking, working memory, verbal reasoning skills, and speed process. So these are my successes that I've done. I did 87 hours of anatomy and physiology from my CTST. In 87, not 80 hours, 87 hours, 87. I'd also passed my anatomy and physiology exam from my massage, so I have 2 anatomy and physiology diplomas. A diploma in massage, a diploma in biodynamic craniosacral therapy, and trying to build my business is another success. Many strong relationships and independence, which is been trying to do, and I think a lot of doctors said to my family that I wasn't going to be, it was going to be a struggle for my whole life, and so I've managed to kind of push through the, like Lauren was saying, that like with my learning disability, a lot of people, you said that wouldn't kind of try to pursue what I'm doing with it, kind of, a lot of people would turn away at the struggles that I've come across, but I've managed to push through, and I think possibly the perseverance and the pushing through came from my father, because I remember at a young age he was always encouraging us to do like work or kind of do things around the house, and he was always just kind of there pushing us along, and I think maybe that's where I get my kind of persist, and maybe from the stuff I've went through, I just thought I have to go on and do these things, and no matter how hard it is, there's been many times where I've wanted to just walk away, but I've just kept doing it. This was at my graduation from craniosacral therapy. So this was the graduating class, and then that's me receiving a diploma and a t-shirt and a mug. But yeah, this is my teacher who kind of, it was interesting because on the course, like we sent out my my psych ed evaluation, but the teachers over the year didn't get it. So I went through part of the year and they had no clue what was going on with me. And then they finally got it and they shared it with some of the teachers, or they shared it with all the teachers, but this is what she said, basically in response to how I was going. But yeah, but also the thing that was great about me, my learning disability, one thing that I managed to do is not just success for me, but like it's made schools look at the way they use their curriculum, and they have to learn that they're beginning to learn to adapt and change their curriculum, and that's what the school I went to did. They started kind of looking at how dyslexic people, and if they were coming in and how severe they were, how they could change and adapt their learning, which is really positive. So, but yeah, and then there's things that I found that helped me with craniosacral therapy. Well, was that the trauma thing about that guy? Actually, this is interesting because if you look him up online, he's just talking about trauma and saying how emotional trauma, if you have that, how it can affect kind of learning and kind of how people are and how they engage. And I think because I was quite traumatized growing up from bullying, I think it had like a longing effect on me. So like with learning in school and stuff. So, but if you look him up, he's quite interesting, and he says how cranial can help, like people will say it helps with trauma. But yeah, with the cranial, the benefits for me, yawning stopped, confident, more comfortable, calmer, actually really sleeping a lot better. I used to sleep terribly growing up playing and stuff like that at night, or just laying there in bed, but I sleep better. And also one of the reasons I wanted to do this is also it means I can give back to people and support people, kind of either people who have learning disabilities or people who just don't, you know. I think cranial could be really good for them. And yeah, I don't know if anyone would like to try to have a session of cranial now. I have the table there, and we could, yeah. Should I do the cranial and then do the thanks, or do the thanks now? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll do the thanks and dedications. Yeah. I'd like to thank everyone for my support, and Lauren also helping me put this together. I tried to do my best. I found it a very big struggle to do this. I hope I kind of got things clearly across. But yeah, everyone knows I kind of like joke around and be funny, and like I walk down the street. Yeah, we're on the tube also. We went to Winter Wonderland last year like that. Yeah, I jumped in a sled last year. But yeah, I like doing funny things like that, but I'd also like to thank everyone for coming, and thank people and say have a happy holiday from my family to yours. And there's a few more slides here of people I'd like to thank.
I think we
You did them? Yeah, they kind of went fast, but. So there's my girlfriend. I'd like to really thank her for her and her support. She's been really great and stuff, and helpful for me. And Lauren and her family. Lauren's been really helpful, and the other tutors, Jen also, who's helped me. Mom and Dad especially, who've been there, really supportive. And family members, brother Mark, my sister Lucy and Jane, for just being around. Elena also. And then all my friends that came tonight, and friends that are around. Also special thanks to Tim, my cousin. My cousin Tim suffers from really bad dyslexia also, and he struggles a lot, so. But yeah, thanks for all coming. And if you guys want, we can take a break, and then if anyone wants to try a cranial session, I'll be willing to do a cranial session, and you can see what it's like and stuff, so.